All right, welcome to Trading Nation, everybody. I am Brian Sullivan. Let's talk about wages. Let's talk about inflation on the back of the Fed minutes being released on Wednesday. Will higher wages push the Fed to raise rates sooner than later? Peter Schiff, CEO of Euro Pacific Capital, joining us now. And Peter, we know you've got some strong views about the Federal Reserve as well, but inflation, as you have said, it doesn't have to be wages or whatever. It just is what it is. It's higher prices. Do you have concern about inflation?
Well, inflation is the business that the Federal Reserve is in. It creates inflation. It's been creating it for years, and it manifests itself in many different ways, higher prices being one of them. Wages are simply a price of labor. But what's happening throughout the country now is this push for the minimum wage increase. Look at what's happening in Los Angeles. They just increased the minimum wage to $15, which is going to be phased in over the next 5 years, which will delay the damage somewhat. But while this is going to be problematic for businesses, it's going to be a much bigger problem for all the workers in Los Angeles who can't get jobs. Because what the law does is it says that if you have minimal skills, if you can't convince an employer to pay you $15 an hour, it's illegal for you to work. And so many people are not going to get jobs. You know, when they had the minimum wage, they didn't put gas stations out of business, but now we all pump our own gas. And my guess is going to be in Los Angeles by 2020, when you go to a fast food restaurant, it'll be like going into a self-serve gas station.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of concern about outsource and automation. You already go to airports, you see the tablets that are there, and they have less staff and just a couple people to bring it out to you. But to the topic of the Federal Reserve, I mean, whatever the thoughts are about wages and employment down the road, could the Federal Reserve be forced to raise rates sooner than later because of this? Because this might be the final piece of the inflation puzzle.
No, I don't think so. I think the Fed is really bluffing its ability to raise rates, given how much debt we have and how addicted we are to the 0% rate. I think they're going to do another round of quantitative easing. Eventually, the Fed will be forced to raise interest rates, but not because of minimum wage hikes. If anything, these minimum wage hikes will slow down economic growth and weaken the employment landscape. And theoretically, the Fed will be more concerned about that. But when the dollar finally collapses based on our failure to raise rates and our launching QE4, it's going to be that kind of inflation and a currency crisis that will ultimately force the Fed's hand. And then we're going to be in some real trouble.
But again, you know, listen, I hear what you're saying about the Fed. At least the United States is sort of ahead of the game. What's happening in Europe and was happening and kind of still is happening in Japan with sort of Abenomics right after Shinzo Abe is what they call it. Do you feel that the U.S. is at least, maybe, as we've said, the cleanest dirty shirt in the global bag of laundry financially?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, there's a lot of dirty shirts there, but I don't think we're much cleaner than the others. In fact, we could be the dirtiest. We just don't know it yet because we're still operating under the effects of 6 years of 0% interest rates and 3 rounds of quantitative easing. So we've had a huge dose of this monetary heroin, and it takes a while for the high to wear off. But when it does, you realize how big a ditch you've dug yourself into because we haven't solved our problems. We've made all our problems worse. We've just postponed the pain.
All right, postpone the pain. Little maybe monetary methadone as well. Peter Schiff, Euro Pacific Capital. Peter, always appreciate your time. Thank you. All right, folks, what do you think? Will wage gains around the country force the Fed's hand sooner than later? Let us know. We're on Twitter and also on Facebook. I'm Brian Sullivan. We'll see you next time.